Now I'm going to give an overview of how to actually add IP cameras onto your network. In this particular case, what we have is a 4-channel NVR that's connected to this switch, and into this switch we're going to connect in our 3 IP cameras that we see in front of us here. Now, we're adding 3 cameras at the one time for 2 purposes. Number 1, to show what's possible, but number 2, to show the whole issue of IP conflicts and how to actually resolve them and address them. So you'll note here that I have a little names put on each of these cameras. So this camera here and this camera here have both been called default. And the reason I've called them default is they're going with their default IP addresses. Where if we come along and we look at this camera here, it has the name changed. And with this one, I've actually brought it over to the PC and I've changed the IP address on it, so it's different than the other 2 cameras. And finally here, before we go to our setup, I'm just going to show here that on each of these cameras, there's actually a serial number here at the bottom. And I'm just going to reference this at a later point in the video. In this particular one that I've changed, it's 0046 is the end of the serial number. So I'll just leave this here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to start off by connecting the power in. So this is the first power. So this is coming off a 12 volt, 2 amp power supply. And this is all 3 cameras are running off a single power supply. So I've connected 3 power leads. I'll now come along and get 3 Ethernet cables. So I'll grab this cable here, and I'll come along and I'll just connect it into this first camera. I'll grab the next Ethernet cable, click it in, and just once again click it into the next one, and then repeat the process for the final camera. Okay, so it's very simple, and you can see here that we have our network port here. It's connected in. So the first thing you'll note here, we're not getting any picture on the screen. So what we need to do next is we simply need to get our mouse and right click, and we bring up, and the third last option is remote device. So click on the remote device. And once again, there's nothing listed, so we need to do an IP search. So we're searching for devices on the network here. So it comes along here, and we can ignore the first 2 ports, but it actually does find 3 devices here. So what it is here is the 3 cameras, obviously. So we'll just note here, first of all, anyway. We'll see there's IP addresses, port numbers, and device names. So the port numbers are the same. The device name, you remember here that the one that had changed IP address ended in 0046 was the device name. And if we look, of course, we'll see that the IP address for it is 192.168.1.175. And if we look at the other 2 cameras where we haven't changed the IP address, both have identical IP addresses, 192.168.1.108 in the case of each. So what we're going to do here is we're simply going to select those 3 cameras to say, I'd like to be able to view all 3 of them, and click Add. So it's telling me the current IP address and TC port already exists. Please put input again. So that we'll just look down here, and we'll see here that the added devices here. So we know we've 3 cameras, but how many devices have been added? And we can see here that only 2 devices have been added. And if we're just looking at the status here, we can see the status is flicking between, on the first one, which has our non-conflicted IP address, 175, is permanently green, and of course it's this camera here. I put my hand in front of it just to show it's that one. But with the other ones, we're having a picture coming and going, because we have 2 IP cameras, both trying to feed their output into the NVR, the output of the screen, but they're conflicting. So how do we overcome this particular problem? Well, we can overcome it in one of 2 ways. So you can see the status is flicked over and back here, back to green here, although at this point no second picture has appeared on the screen, it comes and goes. So we can do it one of 2 ways. The simplest way to do it is simply to disconnect one of the cameras. So what we'll do is we'll simply go over here and disconnect the Ethernet cable, and now we don't have the conflict on the system. But a much better way to do it, of course, would be to bring away one of the cameras, change the IP address to something that's free. So for instance, we could set it to .1.176, for instance, and as long as nothing else in the network is using that IP address, that would be fine. So in a later video in our series, we'll cover the whole topic of how to change the IP address from your PC. But that's it anyway. How to add IP cameras onto your network, and also how to resolve the whole issue of IP conflicts.